Hi guys, thank you so much for clicking on my channel. If you're new here, my name is Valerie. Please hit the subscribe button. I will genuinely appreciate it. And if you're a returning subscriber, I am grateful to you for your loyalty and support. And I'd like to apologize for the disappearance because it's been a while since I posted on this platform for good reason. Let me just say for good reason. Anyway, today we're going to discuss a few things that I put up with when I believed I was ugly. And this is proof that everything in life aligns with your beliefs. Everything in life aligns with what you have convinced yourself. So I grew up dark skin. Yeah, and I grew up, I was an ugly kid growing up. Oh my god. And it's not that I'm not saying this because I want someone to tell me, no, don't say that, you are never ugly. No, I'm saying it because it's something that I know. Like I was already okay. I'm Kenyan. I am in Kenya. I grew up in Kenya and I grew up dark skinned. For those of you that grew up dark skinned, you know exactly what that means. As in, if you understand if you grew up in Africa, not just Kenya, because I've seen these stories on other African countries. If you grew up in Africa and you grew up dark skinned, you know exactly what I mean. So growing up, I was made to believe that I was ugly. I believed that I was ugly to the extent where I used to like convince myself that if anyone is nice to me, I used to feel like if anyone is nice to me, it's like they're doing me a favor or something, because I was so used to being bullied in school. I was used to, and by the way, bullying is not only from students, even teachers. Teachers are horrible bullies. Because I remember my first bully was a teacher. This woman, she used to despise me for being black. She used to despise me for being dark skinned. So much so that she would use me as a case scenario. For example, this one time she came in class and she was telling us a story. She was trying to teach us about marriage. It was CRE, I think. Yeah, because she was teaching us about marriage for some reason. So she came and she was just discussing marriage. I don't remember the context. I don't remember what exactly she was talking about marriage. But then she, in the talk, whatever it is she was talking about, she said, you know, there are some of you that the only, what did she say? She said, there are some of you who should, no, she said, people like Valerie, she mentioned my name. People like Valerie, you should listen to these stories very well, because this is the closest you will ever get to marriage. This is the closest you'll ever get to knowing what marriage is all about, because I know there is no one out there that can marry you. This woman blatantly said that, and she continued with the lesson as if she did not say anything. The whole class busted out in laughter. I was so ugly that anytime there's this one time, there was a party happening somewhere close by. There's one kid who was planning a birthday party. So there's this one boy that came and told me that he would like me to go with him for the party. And the guy was okay. He was not ugly. He was okay. He was fine. He was okay. So I asked him, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, I'm so sure. I want you to come with me to the party. So I was a bit excited, but also I was skeptical kidogo, because I was like, why would this guy, because he was among the popular guys in school. So I was like, why would he want me, of all people, to come with him to a party? I was skeptical, but I was a bit excited also because I had watched so many movies. You see these movies where this cool guy falls for the nerdy girl, falls for the ugly girl. I had convinced myself that is what has happened to me. So this guy, he proceeded to invite me to the party, and I was like, okay, fine. And then during break time, I took it was not break time, during a lesson. We had a lesson, but the teacher did not come to class, so we were just alone in class. I took a pen and a paper, and I wrote, are you sure about what you asked me? If you're sure, just write yes, tick. I put yes, and then I put no. If you're sure, tick the box. And then I gave someone to pass it over to him. The person I gave opened the Kapipa. And then he laughed. He was like, he asked me, Ati, you said I should give who? And then I mentioned the guy. And then he laughed. When I turned back around, the guy and his friends were dying of laughter. Come on, this whole time it was some sort of bet, or they just wanted to humiliate me, and it really worked. So I experienced so much of that. I grew up believing, and I had convinced myself that I was ugly. I used to get so many comments like, people would call me like, people would call me charcoal, or someone would say, or when someone would switch off the light and would be like, where is Valerie? I can't see Valerie. I can't find Valerie. It's like she has disappeared in the darkness. God, kids are mean. Because you know, today, as in right now, I look at some of those kids and I'm like, what the fuck? As in, what was that? By the way, show me one person who was a bully in school, or just show me one person who is a bully, who is doing well in life. I assure you there is none. There is none. So if your child is a bully, you have to be very concerned, because their lives just end in shambles in one way or another. So, given that I had convinced myself that I was ugly, I had allowed myself to be a pushover. I had allowed myself to be a doormat to so many people. I used to be so desperate for friendships, and you know, I used to want so bad I used to want acknowledgement so bad that when someone like tries to talk to me or tries to befriend me, I will literally, like, how do I say it? I would not have any kind of boundaries. Because I remember there's a time one girl, she befriended me, and I didn't have friends, by the way. I didn't have friends in school. So she befriended me, and then she was like, when you come with your lunch money, you have to give me a small portion of it, because that is the only way that this friendship is going to continue. So I kept giving this girl a portion of my lunch money for a while, and I used to struggle, like, because I would give her a bigger chunk of my lunch money. So I remain with like a small money that I can use to buy something, just because I was so desperate for friendship. I was so desperate for, like, in these things are things that now today I am not, I don't know, I don't have words to describe how much I cannot stretch myself to accommodate anyone. It actually built me in a way. It actually made me realize that if you have to give something for someone to stick around, if it's some sort of exchange for whatever, for that relationship or for that friendship, then it is not worth it. It is not worth it. And one thing that I will continue to say, do not let anyone lie to you. The world will perceive you how you perceive yourself. I had taken myself as nothing. Like I didn't value myself enough. I did not see my worth, and people in turn treated me as such. And to a certain extent, I do not blame them, because that is how I viewed myself. That is how I perceived myself. So I cannot expect people to see my worth if me, myself, I don't see it, you know. And I am anti-bully, by the way. I'm anti-bullying completely. I cannot stand bullies. I cannot stand bullies. But to a certain extent, at least it helped me. I'm not saying that it was a good thing. I'm just saying that it helped me to, once I learned my worth, once I started looking myself in the mirror and I'm like, I'm not ugly, by the way. I'm not ugly. Once that happened, once I started to see that, I became unstoppable. Like, literally, no one would tell me shit. No one would tell me shit. And I remember I have been reminded of my dark skin so many times that, like, it used to bother me. Sometimes it still does bother me. Someone making comments about my skin, or someone saying things that I find insensitive, or someone just, there are so many insensitive comments that I've had to take. There are so many insensitive comments that, you know, I have received. Someone would tell me things like, well, hey, let me tell you something. There's this one time I liked this guy so much. Like, I liked him very, very much. I liked him a lot. This guy, he used to tell me things like, you know, we're only going to date, but it's going to be short term because I do not want black kids. Yeah. So he used to tell me such things, and for some weird reason that I cannot put my hands on to this day, I still stayed with him even after he told me such things. What the fuck? Because even right now, if I look at the guy, I'm like, I would not want my child to look anything like you. Like, what do you mean? And for some reason, you know, in Africa, it's like we have this self-hate. We have so much hate for ourselves. And there are things that if you're not dark-skinned, if you're not a dark-skinned woman, you cannot relate. Because I see so many people on social media saying that colorism does not exist. I see so many people saying that, oh, there's nothing like colorism. I see so many people saying that, oh, beauty has no color. These things are things that you see online. People just talk about them online. But in real life, it's different. In real life, it's different. There's one guy that I used to know. This guy, he was not my friend. He was just someone I used to work with. This guy would make comments like, I like Ati, the only beautiful girls are light-skinned girls. Dark-skinned girls are, Ati, you're supposed to have something else. It's either you have a big ass or you have big breasts. But a light-skinned girl can just be light-skinned and she doesn't have an ass or a breast and she'll be pretty. And I'm telling you, if you look at the guy that is talking, if you see the guy, even if they give to you this guy for free, you will reject. Because sometimes I used to sit down and look at the guy and say, I wish you knew how ugly you are. Like, this guy he had so much audacity. He used to talk a lot about like colorism and all. And mind you, he's married and his wife is not even light-skinned. His wife is not even. So I used to think he has a daughter actually. His daughter is not even light-skinned. So I used to think to myself, how is this man raising that small child? How is this man raising that small girl? Because me, when I see like young dark-skinned girls, I usually say to myself, I don't say to them, I usually say to myself, I usually speak to myself and say, I genuinely hope that the world is kind to these kids. Because adults, there are comments adults make about small kids and you just wonder, like, you can be walking around. There's a time I was walking around and then there was this Sudanese girl, a very pretty dark-skinned girl, and then there were two women. I walked past those two women and they were saying ati aka kasichana ni keusi, hata sijui aka kasichana ni keusi na bado kanacheza kwa jua. To those who don't understand, it means this girl is so black and she's still playing under the sun. And I just looked at those two grown, they were old women actually, and I was thinking to myself, like, why is the world so unkind to dark-skinned girls? Why is the world so unkind? And it is so horrible because these girls grow up with so much self-hate. Like myself, I grew up with so much self-hate. Like, I used to hate myself. Like, sometimes I would look myself in the mirror and think, sister, this is all, as in, this is the best God could do. I used to look at myself in the mirror and be like, sister, as in, what is going on? What is this face? I love how to make it worse. I had to I don't know how people call it, mashilingi. I don't know what's the English term. I think tapeworms. I had tapeworms on my head, so I used to shave. Hey, I'll try to see if I can find a picture. Bro, if I tell you, I was an ugly kid. Like, God. And most of it is because, like, people had convinced me of that. People that I went to school with had convinced me of that. like I agreed to be a doormat just to accommodate people, just because there's someone that has befriended me, or because I am so desperate to be friends with someone, or because I am so desperate to just belong to a clique, or belong to not walk home alone, to not walk for lunch alone. Like, it was horrible, it was horrible. And right now, as I am right now, I'm working on healing my inner child, because my inner child is wounded. My inner child went through a lot. My inner child was bullied. My inner child, so there's still part of those things that still creep up on me as an adult. That is why I am very, very sensitive with the topic of colorism. I am very, very, very sensitive. If you make a comment about my skin color, if you make a comment about my complexion, to a certain extent, it rubs me the wrong way, because I have not healed my inner child yet. The inner child, the inner child that was convinced that she was ugly because she has black skin. The inner child that was bullied and beaten up and mistreated just because she had a black skin. My inner child who desperately wanted to change herself. You know, there's a day, I have just remembered, there's a day I went to one beauty shop, and I saw one cream. It was written whitening something something something. It was papaya whitening cream something something something. I don't remember well. I don't remember the description well. And I remember thinking to myself, I must buy that cream. I must buy that cream. So I kept going back to the shop to see if they have reduced the price just a little bit. So I started saving up. It was 80 shillings at the time, I think, because it was a small bottle. 80 shillings. I started saving up my lunch money because I wanted to purchase that cream. So this one time I got the money. I had 100 shillings, so I decided, let me go and buy the cream. When I went to the shop, the cream was not there. So I didn't know how to ask the attendant about the cream, because I didn't want her to know that it's me that wants to use it. So I just went to the attendant and I was like, my auntie has sent me, there's one cream that I want to purchase. My auntie has sent me. I described to her what the cream was, and then she was like, we don't have that one today. Just tell her that they're out of stock. We don't have it right now. I remember going back home and I cried. I cried. I kept that money for a while because I kept going back to that store because I kept hoping that they will restock. I kept hoping that they're going to restock. You know, when I think about these kinds of things, I'm like, I was not born to think that. This is something that was engraved in my head. This is something that I was convinced by adults and by kids. I was convinced that there was something wrong with me because I was not light-skinned. That is something that I was. It's not like I was born and I just had it in my head. So I feel like we should be kind to dark-skinned kids in general, because I have been told horrible things. There are men that approach me and then they're like, I don't usually go for dark skins, but I'll make an exception for you. And someone just smiles at you, thinking that they've told you something good, thinking that they've just complimented you, thinking that, or maybe you're walking somewhere and then people start catcalling, maybe you don't give them the attention, and then they say, and the way you're black. And you're like, bro, you had not seen that I'm black before you started catcalling. Because I'm like, I do not understand. I don't get it. So I feel like, and the fact that growing up, all the commercials about beauty, all the commercials about, you know, about hair, cream, wigs, all these things were featured by light-skinned women. Growing up, I never saw dark-skinned women in any commercials. I never, like, the perception of beauty was sold to us at a very young age, and it was sold to us as you must be light-skinned. Because I remember even news anchors, most of them, almost all of them were light-skinned. And there's one that I grew up watching. But right now, she looks completely different. I do not want to mention any names, but people know her. She's Kenyan. People know her. People talk about it because people know that she completely bleached her skin. I don't know, maybe it's the pressure or whatever. And skin bleaching is so rampant, especially in Kenya. Like, let me say 90% of Kenyan girls are bleaching their skin. Yeah. Because if you meet them, if you look at the knuckles, if you look at, as in 90% of Kenyan girls are bleaching their skin, because we had been sold this idea that beauty and being light skinned go hand in hand, and there is no way around it. That is what we are convinced. That is what we were made to believe. So today, seeing a black skinned girl loving herself is, as in, people are so intimidated by that, or people, I don't know, they have this kind of, I don't know what they feel. People always feel the need to humble a dark-skinned woman. I have no idea why. They God forbid a dark-skinned woman loves herself and is confident in herself. God forbid. Because people will try to humble her by saying, oh, na venye ni keusi, and just look at her, she does not even fit the beauty standards of beauty. And I'm like, why is that the case? Because I had a friend, I don't call her my friend anymore, I don't even talk to her, I don't care about her, I don't care if you watch this, as in, she's not my friend anymore. So this lady, there's this one time she came to me and she was explaining to me how she caught her boyfriend cheating. So she was explaining to me that her boyfriend is having an affair. She was explaining to me that her man is cheating on her. And I was like, I'm sorry you have to go through this and all. And then she made a comment. And if you see the girl that he's cheating on me with, she's black. She's so black. Like, I'm wondering, why would you leave this for a black girl? Mind you, I am as black as they come. And she's talking to me and she's showing me. And I looked at her like, you seriously do not see how insensitive that is. I'm not trying to make it about me, but you just had to do that. You just had to make that kind of comment. And she was like, no, I don't mean that. As in, she's so black. Even if you see that girl, I know you're black, but if you see that girl, you'd be like, oh, she's so black. I was like, okay. And that is the last time I spoke to that girl. And I have had such kinds of experiences before where you're out with your light-skinned friends, or maybe you're just somewhere, and if a guy approaches you out of all of them, there's a way they behave, there's a way they act, like it's shocking to them that someone would prefer me over them, or it's foreign to them that someone would see all of us together and that person would approach me, or someone would ask me for my number. Like, some of them, there's a way they behave, there's a way they, you can just notice the shift in energy, you can notice the weirdness around. And it's something that I have experienced for a long time. I used to have this friend, we're not friends anymore, but I used to have this friend who would make so many comments about color, about skin color. Like, there's one time we went for an interview, and she managed to get the job, and I did not get the job. So she was like, as in, afterwards, when we were having that conversation, she was telling me about the job and everything. She was like, well, I just knew that I would get it. These kinds of jobs, they usually like people with my skin tone. And I was like, huh, that's quite insensitive, but okay. Okay. There's something called the light skin syndrome. Light skin syndrome is people with lighter tone, lighter skin, thinking or believing that they are better just because of that. Because I recently went for an interview, for a cabin crew interview, and when I was talking about my experience, so many people felt the need to point out my skin color, and they were like, these kinds of jobs, they usually prefer people who are light skinned. Bro, stop telling me that. I do not want to hear that, because for one, my sister was a cabin crew for almost 6 years, and she's a dark-skinned woman. There are so many dark-skinned women that I know personally who are cabin crews, so I do not know what you're talking about. It's either you're just trying to make me feel bad, or you're just talking, you're just spewing things. In Kenya, anyway, there are jobs that I cannot even apply for because I know it happens. In Kenya, it's okay, it happens, but it's not always like that in everything. Because I was trying to explain my situation, I posted the video on TikTok and all, and there are so many people that were like, oh, it's about your skin tone, it's about your skin tone, it's because of your skin tone, it's because of your skin tone. And I'm so sick of hearing that, because as in, it's not always in that case. But in Kenya, these promotion jobs, or so many, as in Kenya, colorism in Kenya is crazy. Colorism in Kenya is crazy. If you're a dark-skinned woman in Kenya, hang in there, because I know the struggle. I know the struggle is, it's crazy. They make it seem as if it's some sort of illness, or they make it seem as if it's, because I had one woman one time saying, Ati, I don't want Ebu go call, she was telling the house help to go call her child outside. Her child had gone to play outside. She was like, Ebu go call that child. Ebu go call her. I don't want her to see how the sun is shining. I don't want her to turn black. And I'm like, what? One time I had gone to take my passport photo. So in the how is it called? In the photo studio, this man had come with his daughter. He wanted some pictures of his daughter taken. This idiot photographer went ahead to tell the guy, hey, I feel like you should keep your child away from the sun now. It's like she plays under the sun a lot. What? What? And these kinds of insensitive comments happen a lot. These kinds of insensitive comments, people have normalized them a lot. And my heart bleeds. My heart bleeds for young dark-skinned girls that are growing up, because people are not changing. People's minds are not changing. People's attitudes are not changing. And I hate it. I hate it with all my heart. If people could do better, I just wish that people could do better. Anyway, thank you for sitting through the video. If you're a dark-skinned black girl, you are gorgeous. Don't let anyone tell you anything. Don't let anyone tell you nothing. You are gorgeous. And the minute you believe that you're ugly, the minute you believe that there's something wrong with you because of your skin color, you have given them your power. You have surrendered your power to them, and that is the worst thing you will ever do to yourself. So please do not wrong yourself to that extent. Please do not do that to yourself. You are beautiful. You are gorgeous. Walk with your head high, believing that, and everything else will align. Believe me when I say that. Anyway, please hit the subscribe button. I will genuinely appreciate that, and I'll see you on my next video. Mwah. Bye.